Welcome to the Fantasy Cycling Podcast, featuring your hosts, Grant Gardner and John Anderson. Chapeau, you're in the mix.
Hit it. Welcome back to the Fantasy Cycling Podcast. John here with my friend Grant.
How are we doing?
Grant, you just gave me a pep talk. You told me to lock in.
Yep.
Get focused. I'm a little distracted.
Yeah. You had a busy day.
It's been a busy day, Grant. We've had a long day at the office, doing a little solo parenting around here. My wife is out of town on a business trip. Had some friends over. And
one might say you overextended yourself. But that's okay.
But I'm excited to kind of settle down and chat some fantasy cycling.
Yeah. We've got a lot to talk about.
That's what I'm a little overwhelmed with,
Yeah.
with how much we've got to talk about after a long day.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Why am I whining? People don't want to hear me whining. So a lot's happened since we talked last. We've had a couple of we've had at least one exciting race.
Yeah.
The one that's fresh off the memory is Dwars Vlaanderen.
Yes. So that was on Wednesday, and that was kind of the precursor to the Ronde van Vlaanderen, the Tour of Flanders that we've got on Sunday, and didn't have all of the stars there. We didn't have Mathieu van der Poel. We didn't have Tadej Pogačar, but we had a stacked Visma bike team that was really just taking the race by the horns.
But Grant, you're being way more politically correct right now, talking on the pod than you were in the chat, in the group chat. What did you call it? You called it the poor man's
the poor man's cobbled race. Yeah. So I think somebody had tweeted it was like a cobbled race for the homeless.
That's so rude.
It's really not that. It is a little funny that the way it's placed in the calendar, that it kind of takes away from its importance that you don't have Mathieu van der Poel and guys like that riding it, because they did E3. Some of them did Gent Wevelgem. Then they're taking a break. Then they're peaking for Flanders. Mads Pedersen's been doing all of it.
I love that Mads has been out there at everything.
Yeah. But we were very critical of Visma bike, and it came to our criticism came to fruition.
In a sense, yes. From a fantasy perspective, there were still a lot of points to be had.
Yeah.
From the Visma bike riders, but not a great day for an otherwise quote unquote beautiful race.
Yeah.
From Georgi, I think he called it a beautiful day on the bike, even though so we're kind of burying the lead here, but they pulled a Nielsen Powless second year in a row an American has won this race.
Yeah.
And we had a surprise winner for some out of Nielsen Powless in a group of 4 with 3 teammates from Visma. What do you call that? You call that pulling a...
Ian Stannard.
Yeah, pulled a standard on him.
That was reminiscent of 2015 Omloop at Nieuwsblad. Ian Stannard of Team Sky was all alone with 3 quick-step riders, including Tom Bonen and Nicky Terpstra, and they had it in the bag.
Okay, so do yourself a favor. If you're new to cycling, or even if you've seen this before, it's something worth watching at least once a year.
Yeah.
Go into YouTube and type in the details on that race and watch the clips. It's amazing.
Yep.
And we basically saw a little bit of a recreation of that in Dwars.
This one was worse in the fact that they didn't play all of their cards. Whereas I think Quickstep attacked Stannard continually and he just responded. Mm-hmm. And he covered all the gaps, and
Stannard's is a little bit more impressive.
It was more epic. He just made it happen.
Yep.
Whereas this one was a true tactical failure on Visma Lease a Bike's part, where they did not play the card of sending out Benoot alone or sending out Jorgensen for the win. They stayed. They're like, we're going to sprint for Van Aert. And that's what the team asked them to do. And they did it. It didn't work.
Did you watch, Grant, any of the like the post-race kind of content and interviews? I actually thought, wow, again, like it's easy to sit here on my couch and like talk smack about. It's all done in jest. Like he's an amazing rider, an elite athlete, albeit a little bit washed up right now. No, but seriously, all jokes aside, like I thought he was pretty good in his interview. Like he kind of owned it. Like, hey, it's on me. We called for the sprint. I felt confident. Jorgensen was very gracious. And speaking truthfully, like being a friend of Palace. Like, no, we know Palace is strong, but we didn't. We underestimated him. We didn't take him. Seriously. And honestly, like in most situations, dude, Wout wins a sprint against Nielsen Palace, but he claimed cramps.
I think that's why everyone was so shocked in the result is that Visma knew what was supposed to happen. We all knew watching what was supposed to happen, and still you could feel it in the moment, that tension of like, I think they're about to mess this up. And, but no, the whole Visma team was very professional. I think they handled it well.
Classy. For sure.
Van Aert has had a rough go of it the last 12 months of injury and whatnot. And he's still an elite athlete. And
he opened up in the interview too about how he's kind of taken some of the criticism to heart. Surely not mine.
No.
But he's been getting a lot of criticism in the press.
Yeah. But I still think coming into Flanders, team is strong. Jorgensen's strong. They've got a lot of cards to play. So you want to get into it?
Not without bragging that I did pick. Let's not move on without me getting a chance to brag that only 5.5% of users took Nielsen Palace, and your boy was one of them.
There you go.
And you talked about that moment, and I felt that moment taking that
epiphany.
I did have a little bit of a light bulb moment as I was sitting down and making these picks. He had done well. He got that third place in 2023, and I saw that. And I was going back to look at the results from Paris-Nice, and there's nothing that leaps off the page. But I do remember
a discerning eye.
A discerning eye, Grant, such as mine. I do. No, but for real, I did kind of piece these two things together, and that happens to me rarely.
Yeah.
Honest to God, like I was like, oh, I think this is a good pick for this race. And I was thinking too a little bit about what we were speaking to earlier about it being the show before the show. It's got a show before the show vibe in that, these are the opportunities for a Palace. And a Palace can do well in Flanders.
Yeah.
But, he's probably going to have more of a shot to podium or win in this.
Well, there's two riders that
aren't there to take out podium spots. Exactly. Yeah. And I honestly was very close to taking Wout for that reason. And I was like, look, I could kind of see Wout targeting, using that term loosely, because he's had a bumpy season so far. He's looking at this. Van der Poel's not going to be there. He's going to have Jorgensen and Benoot. And Pog's not going to be there either. Could this be a sort of get right race for him? Had I gone with my instinct there, but ultimately I decided not to take him based off of just all that we've talked about so far this season.
Yeah, the vibes.
So anyway, enough of me bragging, but that was good for an almost just outside the top 100, top 100 finish.
I mean, we joke about the race being a failure, and I think it was a failure that they didn't win with the advantage that they had, but they still finished 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, exactly.
That's a lot of fantasy points. That's a lot of UCI points in real life.
Yeah,
you still get money for finishing on the podium. So
get that money. I did the double trek thing again. I took Pedersen and Milan, And I had hey guys, start Tibor Delgaroso.
Oh, yeah. Great race.
He got me 20 points. Great race from him. Jorgensen put it in the America. 2 Americans on the podium. Oh, was it Benoot that came in third? Benoot came in third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah, I went straight up for the sprint on this one. I had Merlier, Phillips, and Pedersen, Vandenberg. Didn't happen. But
can't win them all.
Nope. A chance at redemption this weekend. So
talk to me.
The Ronde van Vlaanderen, the second monument of the season, the beginning of Holy Week on the cycling calendar. Oh. It'll be super exciting race because we have the rematch of Pogačar and Van der Poel.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's just kind of like round 2 of 2 prize fighters.
Mm-hmm. So we saw them first at Milan-Sanremo. Obviously, Van der Poel had the advantage there. But if you look at their history in the monuments, and we posted this graphic on our socials. So if you look at their career results, Pogačar has started in 16 monuments. He's won 7 of those 16. 81% of the time he's finished in the top 10. 63% of the time he's been on the podium. That's pretty good. Van der Poel, just as impressive, if not more. 19 starts, 7 wins as well. 95% of the time he finishes in the top 10. And 63%, just right at the same as Pogačar, he's finished on the podium. So statistically, I think you got to have those 2 guys on your team for Flanders. No need to get cute.
No need to get cute. Don't get cute with this, guys. Let's talk. Let's just hang out there though before, because I think I've picked a team.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And we should go through the categories like we do.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. And that honestly that might change some of my picks because I haven't done that. I've just kind of picked like a first draft. But hanging out on the Van der Poel Pog thing real quick because I do think that's a good take to take both of them on your team. The odds of them both being in the top 5 are very high.
Yes.
But if you had to pick one of those 2 to win, who would you pick?
Right now, I'd pick Pogačar.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd take Van der Poel. Just so I'll tell you my reasoning.
Okay.
And I'm not saying this is good reasoning. I just think watching those 2 last time they raced, psychologically, Van der Poel, he is in a position of strength in that he lets the race come to him. He's willing to lose the race in order to win it.
Yeah.
You know, the way he sat, just little key moments, the way he sat and let Ineos guy, time trial guy, I can never remember these names. Ghana. The way he let Ghana close gaps, you know, and took a little. He's letting it come to him.
Yep.
Pog approaches these races where they're going to bring, and both are great. I love Pog for this reason. He's one of my favorite riders for this reason, in that he takes the race to everybody.
Yep.
They're going to have a plan, and he's gonna hatch it, and he's gonna try and win. But Van der Poel, I feel like, is in such a position of strength to allow it to come to him, and he's just got a better sprint at the end.
Yeah.
What's your reason for Pog?
I think he's really hungry after the Milano-Sanremo loss, and he has won this race before, so there's a clear path for him to win. It's less of a puzzle for him to solve.
Yeah.
He just needs to go out there and do it.
Was Van der Poel there when he won, though?
I believe so, yeah.
Really? Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
I think
I should know that, but
that plays to Pogačar's advantage here. The interesting thing is he did add Roubaix to his calendar. So now he's kind of looking ahead to next week while thinking about this week as well. Whereas Van der Poel has done that double before. and that plays into your thinking there, where he's just, I'm going to do these races. I'm going to do well. I'm just going to see how it develops. Whereas Pogačar has to kind of overthink it a little bit. But I think for this half of that Flanders-Roubaix combo, I like Pogačar. And then Van der Poel more next week at Roubaix. But yeah, let's get into the categories.
Hold on, though. Van der Poel he's won this race 3 times, has 6 top 10s. And he started it 6 times. Pogs rode it twice, won it once, got 2 top 10s.
Yep. Yeah, I think Van der Poel's going for the historic 4th win. It'd be even more historic if he did the double again this year with Flanders-Roubaix. So yeah, that'll be really interesting.
All right, you want to talk point categories?
Yeah, so at the top, we've got Pogačar, Pedersen, Van Aert at 1,200. And remember, that's based off of their ranking at the beginning of the season. That doesn't change until the Giro when the credits are reallocated. So Pogačar well placed there. I think Pedersen is a strong consideration for a podium. He's just a little expensive at 1,200. And then Van Aert, TBD.
I worry for him.
Yeah.
Lacking confidence after.
Yeah.
But could he be fired up?
So
are we doing thousands as well?
Yeah. So if we go down 1,000, we've got Jorgensen, Groves, and Girmay. Jorgensen obviously pops off the page there. It'd be interesting to see what Groves can do, because he did go well at Sanremo, finished 5th. But this is even more outside his comfort zone with the cobbles. So
we didn't give Caden Groves much of a shout. That was one of our kind of takeaways from recapping Milan-Sanremo, where he got 5th. Completely different race, of course. Nobody's taking Caden though so far. 0.8% of users are taking him.
Yeah.
I think I would not be willing to spend the cash either on Girmay. He's ridden the race twice before, but hasn't had much to show for it, and they're both pretty expensive.
Yep.
There's no doubting that Jorgensen is pretty fit right now, though. So.
Yep. And if you remember last year, he was the only one that could follow Van der Poel in the Koppenberg. So
yeah,
he's fit. He's got experience. He's got a little momentum. They've also got that sting of the loss this week. And yeah.
He's also American, and Americans own the classics.
Hey, we'll get to that later. There are a lot of Americans popping off the page in this race. So, but as we dip down into 800 credits, of course, you got Van der Poel. We're going to agree that's a must take there. You've also got Bauhaus and Kristoff and Mohoric and Kung. And
you have to be crazy not to take Van der Poel.
Yeah, that would be unwise. And then if you're just comparing like for like on price there with the other guys, I mean, no contest. I think Stefan Kung is strong. We've seen a lot from him.
Mohoric, the vibes are bad.
Yeah. So
yeah, and that's reflected in the current selections. Only 2% of users have him. No one's too big on Kristoff either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think only for me at that category, 800 is just Van der Poel all alone.
Yep.
You want to do 400 and 600 together?
Sure. So as we're looking there, another American that pops off the page is Magnus Sheffield.
We're starting to sound like the Peacock broadcast over here.
I know. So we'll get into that. I'm usually not a homer, but in this race, for some reason, like your Nielsen Palace pick. I'm just being.
Yeah. You got a good feeling
I
about
just
it?
got a good vibe. Sheffield was 6th in this race last year. He looked good at Copy of Bartoli last week. He looked really good at Paris-Nice, won the final stage. So I think there's a lot of momentum behind Sheffield. Really interesting rider that I was not expecting to see on the start list is Leonard Van Avelt for Lotto. We know he's a great climber. He was great at Strade Bianche, finished 9th.
This is his first time.
First time doing Flanders, the home monument. What do you think about him?
I don't know. I ever feel like going from my gut. Someone's never done the race before. It's either stay away or like, yeah, go for it. You know, and I kind of have like the go for it feeling on him. He's had a good season.
Yep, great season, strong rider, great option there.
He's been 11 times on the best team possible.
Another guy in 600 category that has done this race before, does have a good record. Looked good at Milano-Sanremo is Michael Matthews.
Yeah, I was just looking at him. He's ridden this race a bunch. Got 11th in 2024, DNF 23, 11th in 2022. What about Corbin Strong? Nah.
I mean,
and I'm not. I'm going to avoid. Wait, Nielsen got 5th in this race in 2023. But I don't think I'm going to take him again. Is this a situation where he just kind of
fizzles?
Yeah, but fizzles, or he's got diamonds in the legs.
Yeah,
after the big win.
I think it could be the latter. All right, peeking through the rest here. Narvaez is going to be there with Pogačar. I mean, we know he's strong, but haven't seen much out of him since Australia. Vasek for Trek. He's going to be subservient to Pedersen and Stuyven, you would think, right?
Yep.
But I'd be interested to see some stuff out of him. You're always high on Josh Tarling.
I am.
He didn't finish Dwars or Vlaanderen. He was 17th at Flanders last year, though, which is pretty strong for a debut.
Yeah. Tadej Pogačar sitting there at 400. He's never not finished in the points.
That's a wild stat.
Every time he's ridden this race, he's gained fantasy points.
And if you look at his form right now, so he was 20th at E3, 19th at Gent-Wevelgem, and then 3rd at Dwars or Vlaanderen.
Do they say, let's let Tish roll?
Free reign.
Let's let him roll, baby.
I'm here for it. I mean, if you look at his record in this race, going back to 2018, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, 13th, 13th, 15th.
Money in the bank, baby.
That's our big takeaway so far is Tadej Pogačar.
Yep. All right, you want to drop down to the 200?
Yeah, what are you seeing down here at the bottom of the barrel?
You know, I've got my dive gear on. Just hopped out the sub. I've got my flashlight,
looking for gold coins,
my scuba gear on, and my metal detector down here in the depths, looking for gold in the dregs of the peloton. And I'm seeing my guy, Rick Plumiers, who DNF this race last year. No, I don't know. I do have a team. I like the Van Dyke Bros, the Step Brothers.
Yeah.
So I think Tim Van Dyke. I think he's Will Ferrell character. And
yeah.
Who's the other guy who plays that movie? What's his name? I don't even know.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Mick is John C. Reilly and Tim is Will Ferrell.
They just want to go fast.
They just want to make me go fast. I like him. I like Morgado.
Yep.
He got fifth in 2024. But he's been a little bit he hasn't had the pop. He hasn't had the... He's not flashing like he did last year.
No.
Florian Vermeersch. I like him. He's going to be obviously in service of Pog, but I feel like UAE does this thing where they still...
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
because Pogačar can ride for himself.
Yeah. If Pog attacks with like 50K to go...
That's recovery time for them.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like he could still score points. We've talked about Lewis Askey. Honestly, I think Niels Pollitt is kind of like a Tish Benoot kind of type character as well. So I'll probably give him a shout out too. Gosh, I'm sorry, dude. This is all my intel from the course coming in.
Okay.
Looks muddy out there. I don't know.
Yep.
Who you like out there?
I agree with those picks. I agree with Niels Pollitt. I'm looking at Rasmus Tiller as maybe somebody that is well suited for this race. He was 11th at Dwars Vlaanderen this week. He might be kind of under the radar sort of guy that could just sneak into the top 10. Whereas some of those other names you mentioned, they're going to be on the top of everybody's list for 200 credits, right?
Okay. All right.
You want to go through your team?
I just changed it based off of what you said.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go through it. My team right now, Pog, Vanderpool, Tarling. I might change that. I don't know yet. Right now I've got Tarling on there. I've got Pedersen. Because Pedersen seems to be sending it on all of these.
Yeah.
Which maybe he needs to be a little bit more discerning.
Because I think he should save those matches for Roubaix.
Mm-hmm. So Pog, Vanderpool, Tarling, Pedersen, Vermeersch, Florian, with the Florian variety. Mick Van Dijk. Tim Van Dijk. Tish Benoot, Niels Pollitt, and I just put Rasmus Tiller on here based off of what you just said.
There you go.
But I might change Tarling and Pedersen for somebody else. Who you got?
So I will say that this team is very uncharacteristic of me. Like I said, I'm not a homer.
You mean it's a good one?
Oh, no, that I'm picking American riders. Normally I shy away from, but I mean, there's a lot of talk right now.
Can we get a button that we could just hit where
it's
like
just American Eagle? Yeah.
Or a place Freebird?
You know what the number one import to Europe right now is?
I don't know.
Wins.
Everything else is being tariffed.
Yeah. So the Americans have looked great in Europe this spring.
They really have, though. All jokes aside.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
So obviously I'm taking Pogačar and Vanderpool. It's off the table, you know. But I'm taking Jorgensen, Paulus, and Sheffield. Let freedom ring. And after that moment of sanity or insanity, I'm going with Morgado. I think he'll be back. He likes this race. He looked great last year. Might change that later, but he's 200 credits. Hard to avoid him. Got Lawrence Rex. He has a couple of top 10s within the last couple weeks, does well on the cobbles. I've got Alex Sagert willing that into existence. He was 10th this week at Dwars Vlaanderen, but strong young Belgian rider who does well on the cobbles. And then, like I mentioned, Rasmus Tiller. I like him. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. If there's ever going to be a time to have 3 Americans in the top 10 at a monument, I think this might be the time.
I'm just looking here at the previous performance in race page on PCS, and there's so many big names that we're not taking.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the monument, right? Is everybody comes out to play and you can't take them all.
Yeah. So. Graham, we got a lot to talk about. Are we gonna record again on Monday?
I think we should, because we need to talk about Itzulia.
Itzulia is a great race.
Yeah, it's a big race. There's going to be a lot of great riders there.
When does that start? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Itzulia, I think it starts on Monday.
Oh, well, we need to record this weekend then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got Itzulia.
I do have a preliminary team.
Well, first, let me go through the whole calendar because it's busy. So we got Gran Premio Miguel Indurain on Saturday. Start list is meh.
Very mid.
It's all right.
It's okay.
So that's coming up. Then, of course, we got Flanders Sunday, then Itzulia, then Skelde Price on Wednesday, and then Tour of Hainan in China, another Pro Series stage race that we got to pick, and then Roubaix. So I don't want to take away from Roubaix.
I feel like I need practice picking these stage races too, man.
Yeah.
Like, just even putting together a draft of a team for Itzulia was like, dang, this is hard.
Yeah.
So,
and that one's got a time trial in it, so you got to factor that in.
Yeah.
But you had a few names rolling off the tongue you wanted to mention.
Well, Ayuso won last year, and he's had a great season. I don't think he's on the start list yet.
No, it looks like they're going with Almeida. For this one.
Yeah, man, I have preliminary draft, like just off the cuff. Ricky Mas.
It's been looking good. Ricky Mas.
He's been looking good. Santi Buitrago, Bilbao Baggins, Pello Bilbao.
Yeah.
And Ambrew, Romain Gregoire, Ben Tullet, Jordan Jagat, Olivier Romo, and I like this pick for this race a lot, Mauro Schmid.
Yeah, especially with that time trial at the beginning.
But
yeah, the only hole I'd poke in that is Ricky Mas is not a time trialist.
Not a good one.
Yeah. I mean,
anymore.
Everyone that participates is a time trialist. Doesn't mean they're good at it. So, but no, that sounds strong.
I don't know. I just, let's get together and talk about it before it starts, because it's such a fun race to watch.
Yeah. And that might even be a mini pod,
Yeah. Cool. Hey, follow us on the platforms. We've got presence on a lot of them. We load the audio from this show up onto YouTube. It's a good place to kind of post comments. We are on X and Instagram, both with the handle Listen to FCP. It's the number 2. Listen to FCP. Grant puts a lot of good stuff out there. So check it out. I know some of the pros are checking out the content. Yeah. So give it a look, and we'll talk to you again soon about Itzulia.
Sounds good.